the meeting of Monday, June 28th of the Sewer Authority Midcoastside Board of Directors. We have a roll call, and could you introduce those who are on the Zoom?
Yes, roll call first. Director Lohman.
Here.
Director Clark.
Here.
Director Radek.
Here.
Director Slater-Carter.
Present.
Director Dye.
Here.
Director Penrose. There she is.
Here.
Director Penrose.
Here.
Good. We have a quorum. And we have a couple of staff members from SAM. We have Susie from the administration department, George Evans from finance, Sonia Ondish, operator.
Hi.
Yeah.
Hello.
Tim Costello, supervisor, field and operations. He's got a long title. David Partida, operator.
Hey guys.
We have Gabriel Aguilar, lead operator. I guess we've covered the entire staff of SAM and myself, Kishan Prativadi, GM. And of course, we have our general counsel, Jeremy Ungresh. So,
and I see we have a June employee anniversary today. Can you tell us about that?
Yes. So starting this month, we intend bringing to the second meeting of the month employee anniversaries. Whatever be it, whether it's 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, 15, 25, 30, we decided that we should recognize them. So whoever completes an anniversary in that particular month, we're going to put his name on the agenda, his or her name on the agenda, and ask them to come for the meeting. And somebody is going to talk a few words about it, about that person. So, so starting today, may I request Susie to say a few words about David Partida, who's completed 14 years as an operator. We're proud to have him amongst us and working for SAM. And I hand it over to Susie to say a few words about David.
Is this David's iPhone that is that the David we're talking about?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah, he is live on video. You can see his face.
He moved.
He moved, yeah.
I'm trying to get a better light, but it seems like it's not working.
It's good.
Okay, Susie.
Okay, David. On June 4th of 2007, you began your journey into the mysterious world of wastewater at the Sewer Authority. You started as a collections crew, driving from one end of our coastside to the other, cleaning sewer lines, going out on service calls, and dealing with all the things that can happen without any notice or warning. And then in November of 2012, you became an operator in training and have since earned a grade 3 operator status. And according to one of our senior operators, you are hardworking and very well versed in all aspects of SAM. You work well with others and are a huge part of maintaining the plant so it can continue to provide its services to the coastside. And you do it all with that $1 million smile. So David, on behalf of myself and SAM staff, we'd like to let you know how much we appreciate you and thank you for the last 14 years of dedicated service you've given to SAM and the people of the coastside.
Thank you.
You're here.
You're here.
Well done, Susie.
Very good.
Well, thank you for those kind words. I don't know what to say, but Sam's been good to me, and yeah, it doesn't seem like it's 14 years. I'm still remember my first day, but yeah, thank you. Thank you for that.
Well, we're happy to have you on board. All right.
Thank you.
Anything else, Kishan?
You can go ahead if you want, David.
Thank you for public comment.
Do we have any other comments?
Or you can stay and learn about it all and see what the board does.
Yeah, sure.
All right. Anything else before we move on? All right. We're moving on to public comment. Do we have members of the public who would like to comment on items that are not on the agenda?
I have a comment.
Okay.
As a member of the public, something we were discussing before we convened the meeting, but it's 114 in Oregon. It was 108 in Seattle today. And we can all celebrate the fog, which is good for suppressing fires around here. And not only that, but it's good for our skin too. No
And the
nasty
redwoods.
sunburns.
All right. Anyone else want to make a cheery comment like Catherine's?
I have a brief comment. I'm not sure if this qualifies as a agenda item or not. My name is Alan O'Driscoll and I live in El Granada. I was asked by Keishan to participate and comment on the newly completed wet weather project. Should I comment now or hold
You should
that for
wait
later?
because it's coming up pretty quickly on the agenda.
Okay.
And that would be the place to comment. We would love to have you comment. So, anyone else? All right, let's do the consent agenda, which are the minutes of June 14th, disbursements for June 14th, and monthly revenue and expense report for the period ending May 31st. Can I have a motion?
Move to accept.
Second,
Okay, is there any further discussion? Looks like no. Can we have a roll call, please?
Director Penrose,
Yes.
Director Lohman,
Yes.
Director Clark. Director Clark, you're muted.
I know he only has one hand right now.
Aye.
You're
Director,
in his hand, so
Cookies.
it's hard to do stuff.
Director Slater Carter,
aye.
Chair Dye,
Yes.
motion passed.
Right. Moving on to regular business. First item is report on wet weather storage facility expansion project. Kishan, would you like to give us a report?
Yes, the wet weather storage was initially done in 2013, and then we did the expansion project recently. We completed it just this month. The completion date was actually March 2020, and then we requested the Regional Water Quality Control Board for an extension, and they gave us time until June 30th, 2020. We had to ask an extension because of the pandemic and other things going on all over the country, and therefore we asked for the extension. But I'm glad to say that we have completed that project successfully, well in time, and well under budget. I'll talk a little more about it a little later, but just to give you all a heads up, the project was approved in August 2020 for award to Bay Pacific Pipelines, the contractor. And then we started off work immediately, had a kickoff meeting, and then they ordered for the concrete boxes, which takes a long lead time. And thereafter, they started work actually hitting the ground and working in Half Moon Bay, in and around Grenada, I would say, in the month of February. And they completed this entire task in June. Now, all thanks to the entire team of contractors, consultants, the county, and of course, SAM staff for successfully completing it well in time and well before the budget, well within the budget time. Now, just to appreciate everyone, SAM staff, the entire department has played a role in this particular project. Starting from administration, Susie from administration, who was responsible for putting out the bids in the ad, the finance officer, George Evans, who made sure that we have enough finances and make sure that vendors got paid. And of course, the operators, the collection crew, the maintenance crew, and not to forget Tim Costello, who would post pictures on Nextdoor and give updates about the project very regularly. So this is as far as staff is concerned. And I would like to also thank the consultants and contractors who are also present today and who played a major role in achieving the success. So I would like to mention each one of them, and maybe you guys can raise your hands if your video is on. That would help everybody to recognize, because it's hard to find out amongst 26 persons who were there. So not in any order of priority, but just mention starting off with Quiet River. We have Kevin McGuire, who was responsible for land surveying and also for all the easement that had to be done for getting the easement from GCST. We have WRA Incorporated. We have environmental consultant Paul Kerfman. Yes, and I believe Marisa. I don't see Marisa. Marisa was supposed to be there. No, she didn't show up. Okay. So we have Paul Kerfman, who was the environmental consultant who did all the, excuse me, who did all the environmental work for this particular project. Then we have Alan O'Driscoll from Bag Engineers, who was a geotech, who did all the works for the soils and all the stuff, good stuff at the project site. Alan?
Here.
Okay. And then we have our general contractor, Bay Pacific. We have Kevin Carew. And then we have Eugene. Eugene is not present, but Kevin is there. Maybe he doesn't have his video on. And then we have Hugo from Bay Pacific. And
excellent. Thank you.
Incidentally, talking about Bay Pacific, these are the same contractors who actually installed the original pipeline of Montara Force Main, Princeton Force Main, and Granada Force Main way back in the 70s, 80s, 90s. They did all those jobs. And they completed the extension of Granada Force Main for us in 2017, and now completed the wet weather storage expansion project. The same contractors. We have same Eugene, who's been working in this area for so many years. In fact, when we couldn't locate a pipeline just a few months back, we actually called Eugene and asked him to pinpoint. And what a great memory he's got. He actually showed us where it was, and we were able to excavate it and find out the right place.
It's tough when you lose those pipelines.
Right. Yep. And then we have from Tanner Pacific, we have Marina Chekmariva, and she was responsible for the construction and project management. She ensured that the entire project sailed smoothly without any hiccups. Everything went off very well, very timely, and everything was documented excellent. And then, I should have mentioned it earlier. We have Darcy Lewis from San Francisco Estuary Partnership. Hi, Darcy. And Darcy is actually the third party for oversight chosen by Regional Water Quality Control Board. So we send all our quarterly reports and the final reports to Darcy Lewis, who reviews it and then forwards it to Regional Water Quality Control Board. And Darcy was kind enough to say a few words and give us extension from Regional Water Quality Control Board. I had to reach out to her, and she was very quick and gave us all the necessary extensions starting from last year until June. We had 2 extensions. And then, of course, we have, thank you very much, Darcy. And then we have engineering done by SRT Consultants. We have Tim Monahan and Nina Mayo out here who helped us with the entire project. I guess I hope I haven't forgotten anybody, but this, in short, are the major players. And of course, we have subs of all these consultants and contractors. We really extend our thanks to all of them for having helped us achieve this milestone. We could probably go to public comment if anybody has, and then I have a short presentation on this project. Is that the way you want to handle, Chair Dai?
That sounds fine.
Okay.
Kishan, I just wanted to say thank you. Your acknowledgement really means a lot to us at WRA, and we really appreciate your taking the time to reach out and invite us to this meeting. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Paul.
Good to have you here. I'm happy to recognize what you've done.
Thank you.
Likewise, Kishan, thank you.
Thank you. Alan, did you want to?
Yeah, I live in El Granada. My name's Alan O'Driscoll. We're grateful to be a client for SAM for the past 33 years that we've been in business. We're grateful to participate in the wet weather project. We really think that's a environmentally conscious thing to do. We're glad the project turned out well, and we're happy to support such a project. We also support the use of reclaimed water to irrigate the Half Moon Bay Golf Course, and hope that can be worked out in the future. And we're so grateful to be a client. Sam is a client of ours. Thank you very much.
And what is your company? I missed that.
It's Bag Engineers. We're located in San Jose, and we've done virtually all the work in the Half Moon Bay for the 33 years we've been in business, including the city and the county.
Wow.
I'd like to say,
you know the lay of the land.
Pretty well. We did the Ritz-Carlton as well. You might know of that hotel.
I wanted to say that I interacted quite a few times with Marina, and she was very helpful and professional, and it was nice to work with her. Along with all the other members of the team. So great project. It's happy to see such a successful outcome. So do you have a presentation for us? Does anyone else want to say anything? Let's make sure everybody.
I have one comment, and I've made it before, but I want to thank Tim for all the photographs and posting this on Nextdoor.
Yes,
and I hope that that gets added to someone's job description, although general all-around hands-on guy for Tim is probably as good as any, because I think it really helped the folks who were not only clueless about what was going on, but all of the folks who were going up and down the road going, what is this? And so I think it was very useful for folks to be comfortable and know what was going in there. And so I thank Keishan and Tim Costello and everyone who worked with Tim on getting the photos posted, because it was very important outreach. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Michelle helps with that as well. Okay, go.
Yeah.
You have a presentation for us?
Yes, I'm going to share my screen. Are you guys able to see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah.
Very good. Okay, so this is the wet weather facility expansion project. We, as indicated earlier, we were given time until June 30th, 2021 to complete the final report. We were required to submit it to San Francisco Estuary Partnership, who in turn would submit it to Regional Water Quality Control Board. And we submitted the final report last week, and we are done with the project. So let me just walk you through this project very briefly. So just giving you a background of the project, we had the phase one, which was 200,000 gallons, which we installed way back in 2012, 2013. And right now we have the phase two, which is also 200,000 gallons, which we completed recently. So we have the phase one, which is both the phase one and phase two. The concrete chambers are on Burnham Strip. And then we have the manholes, which are shown as F and G, which is on your screen right now, which you can see. These are manholes that the facilities get connected to. And both of them are located on Obispo Road. Now, what is the purpose of the wet weather storage facility? Mainly is to reduce potential for wet weather sanitary sewer overflows due to capacity exceedances at the pump station. I will come to it in my later slides as to how it works. It also gives time to perform any preventive maintenance on pumps, air release valves, surge tanks, so that we can shut off the pump stations, the Portola pump station, and then divert the flow onto this wet weather storage. So it doesn't flow into the pipeline, and we can do all the maintenance work. It also allows us to hold a portion of the peak daily flow and release it to collection system when planned influent flows are low. So that way, what happens is we get a steady flow to the plant, resulting in basically equalization, and it'll benefit the biological treatment process so that the bacteria are not starved at night. In fact, for the past couple of weeks after the Memorial Day weekend, we've been having a lot of process upsets at the plant. We've been having filaments at the plant, and therefore we had to take care of equalization, and we would shut off Portola pump station in the morning and then switch it on again in the evening, shut it off at peak time and then switch it on in the evening so that we get steady flows to the plant, and that helped the biological process. And we've been doing that always, and we recently did it just about 15 days back. We did it for about 10 to 15 days at a stretch every day. So this shows a picture of the wet weather expansion project in plan view. So when there is a storm event, the flow exceeds the capacity at Portola pump station wet well, and it will then back up into the local sanitary sewer system and then fill up both the wet weather facilities at the same time. The old one, which was done in 2012, and the new one, which was 2021. So I would call it as phase 1 and phase 2. So both of them get filled up at the same time. So what happens when the storm subsides? Portola pumps keep pumping out of the wet well, and both the wet weather facilities will drain by gravity at the same time. You will see it in a better picture in the next few slides when I show it in a profile view. So this is a profile view where you see the sanitary sewer manholes and pipes are in the foreground. The wet weather chambers are in the background. When Portola wet well surcharges, flow backs into sanitary sewer system and eventually reaches the inlets to the wet weather chambers at manhole G and F. You can see the small circle there, G and F. I don't have a pointer, so oh yeah, I can show the pointer here. G and F. So as the flow keeps coming, water level in the wet well and sewer manholes and pipes keep rising. You see the level which has gone up. So eventually flow will be over this inward of the inlet pipes to the wet well, and water will start entering these chambers. You see that here? It starts entering these chambers simultaneously. So once the incoming flow slows down and the pumps can catch up with the influent flow rate, the water level in the wet weather facilities will drop. You see this water level dropping. So as the pump keeps pumping, both wet weather facilities start draining out, and that's how it starts going back into this into the wet well. And all this happens by gravity. Simple mechanism. It just drains by gravity. Eventually, you see, both the wet weather facilities as well as the sewer manholes, pipes are all completely drained, and the pump station has returned back to its normal operation. So this is how it typically takes place. When it's a storm event or when there's a maintenance required, when the wet well gets surcharged or we have to switch off the pumps, it starts building up, and the wet weather gets, wet weather storage facility starts getting filled up. That's going to get some attention. Now, I'm just showing quickly, breeze through some pictures of the construction.
Kishan, can you just hold for a minute? Someone's got a radio or something going on in the background, makes it hard. Someone, whoever that is, could mute. That would be great.
Yeah, please mute yourself if you're not talking. Thank you.
Yeah, just like flew like a rocket.
Which one?
That big one.
Mine?
Yeah.
I know, that was just going nuts.
I'm like,
Okay.
check. Pinch that, the top ones, so it slows that
I
down.
gave that a huge batch of.
Now someone's really having a whole.
Maybe we should move it, rotate it.
Wherever you are, can you-
Now he's in a good spot.
Kitchen, we will identify who's.
There's something going on with that.
Yeah, that's John Ulam.
Ethan, can you put all the participants on mute?
And
You deserve to work with the plant next to it.
Okay.
Teacher for nearly
No.
170 years.
Okay.
We're talking about a few minutes.
No, we're still hearing someone. John Olum, can you mute?
I don't watch it this summer.
I don't think he can hear you.
Plus, it might be getting sun a lot earlier because it's so tall.
Yeah, it really matters.
That it's gradually, yeah, that's just
Okay, I'm going to stop sharing, go back there so that I can mute him, okay?
And then
Okay.
it starts to shade, so then it gets sun there where there's not getting sun
I'm
over
actually
here.
surprised right now when the sun comes up in the morning.
Ah,
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Very good. Okay, so walk you through the pictures, which most of you might have seen earlier or might have seen at the site. I'll quickly go through the photographs. In the month of January, February, we did the site preparation, had the chamber assembling, which was done in February, March 2021. Come on. Then we had the, shoot, I don't know what's happening. Yep. Are you able to see it? Okay, thank you. So we have these pictures where you have the chamber assembly is completed, hydro testing of the chambers being done. And then we started backfilling of the chambers in May 2021. You see the pictures on the right and the left. Then we had to install the new the manhole, the 24-inch manhole on Obispo Road. Completed the backfill and compaction testing. Surface restoration on Obispo Road after the manhole was installed. And then we finished the hydro seeding, and that was the last stage of project completion. To give you an idea about the costs, the wet weather phase 1, which was done in 2012, costed SAM $601,377, which gives us an approximate figure of about $3 per gallon. And the way the prices have escalated, in 2021, the same 200,000 gallons costed us $1,350,650, approximately $6.75 per gallon. So it went up from $3 per gallon to $6.75 per gallon. This is only construction costs. And for this project, we paid a soft cost of about $95,000. So the board had approved a figure of $1,500,000 in the month of August, which included construction and soft costs. And put together, we are proud to say that the total was $1,445,000. So a little over $55,000 is what we were able to achieve this completion of the project, well below what was what the board had approved. So that's it for now, and staff is here to answer any questions, and I'm going to stop sharing my screen. I can always get back if anybody has any questions.
Does anyone have questions? Catherine, is that you raising your hand?
That's me, always. I was around
Now
when this project was first designed and proposed, and it took quite a few years for it to get started. And at the time, it was proposed as a way of controlling the wet weather flow, when to put in another parallel force main would have been prohibitively expensive back in the early 2000s. I believe there was an estimate that it would have cost about the same as the plant rebuild did at the end of the 1990s. So a peer review was done and came up with taking care of the problem only when it was needed, which would be during the wet weather. But it appears from what you've been saying, Keishan, that it is now useful in managing the flow management for the tank during other times of the treatment process and treatment and for other conditions of the treatment facilities. And I'm wondering, it was originally supposed to be, what was it, $900,000 100,000 gallons instead of 6. And I'm wondering if it would be useful to be considering making that expansion to the 900 and even probably putting in the same kind of facility because this only controls half the flow or not even half the flow into the plant. Would it be useful to find a place near SAM to have the same kind of facility to handle flows when SAM needs to do work in the plant from Half Moon Bay?
Yep, we can definitely think about it. But just to give additional information, with the one tank of 200,000 gallons that we had earlier, on a typical the dry day without much of rain, I would say just a dry day, we were able to shut it off without hampering any of creating any problems for us for about 12 to 16 hours, 12 to 14 hours, I would say. And now with the additional tank, we'll be able to shut it off for at least 24 hours, 20 to 24 hours, depending upon the weather conditions.
I apologize. I got my numbers mixed up. It was 2, 4, and 600,000 gallons, not 3, 6, and 9. But so you're saying that in your opinion, it would be useful for the plant's operational capabilities and costs of maintenance to be able to have controls for the entire flows into SAM from whichever direction.
Yes, so far we have not been having any problems, touch wood, either with storm events or any maintenance. One basin, one unit itself was enough, just about enough for the storm events, but with the second one, I think we should be okay. But we can always look into the economics and then check it out whether it's really worthwhile pursuing another expansion.
Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. Matthew Clark.
First, a comment. I would remind people that GCSD bought the property for this project, and so that's another $850,000 that should be added to the cost of the initial step. Kishan, I noticed that in the section view, profile view that you showed, the inverts below the manholes look like they're lower. Those are the lowest areas not in the plant. Do they also drain dry, or does water remain in those?
Do you want me to?
Tim, would you like to answer this question? I don't think the water would be totally dry. There would definitely be a little bit of water.
Me or Tim Monahan?
Either one of the Tims.
Oh.
Pick a Tim.
It's a room with Tim.
You want to take it, Monahan? Go ahead.
Yeah, sure. George Clark, yes. The inverts of the pipes are set, and the grades of the new facilities are established such that they dry out and empty completely. There might be some residual mud or water, maybe some condensation and so forth, but for all intents and purposes, you can walk in there without needing boots or anything like that. As a matter of fact, we did just a few weeks ago when we inspected the phase 1 project and found it to be in excellent condition.
Great, thank you. That's slightly connected to my next question, which is that we locally have gotten some questions about the potential for smell from the manholes. And some people who have said they've been out there, and which I find hard to believe, but have been told that people have smelled the mostly stormwater. I don't think it can smell that bad, but on occasion. And are there any totally sealed manhole covers that when this becomes a part of daily use, we might be able to install?
That's a possibility. The manhole covers that are out there now are vented intentionally to allow the water to, as it rises, to push out the air, and vice versa when they empty, obviously. And we are looking very aggressively at means of applying negative pressure to the wet well and drawing air, fugitive gases and so forth, the foul air and putting it into a control system. And we're looking at masking with vapor to keep down the H2S in the wet well. And if we keep it down there, it shouldn't be, fugitive odors shouldn't be making their way across the street and through the manholes. And so we have high expectations about this product that's going to be trial run later next month.
Yeah. In July, we're going to conduct pilot trials, and it'll be at the Portola facility for 3 weeks, for a minimum of 3 weeks, and we'll check it out and see how it works.
That's great. I hear that. Thank you.
I think the people of El Granada appreciate that you're paying attention to that. I don't think it's a big problem, but it has been commented upon occasionally. So thank you for paying attention to that. And thank you for managing such a good, successful project. I think it's good. Does anyone else have any comments or?
Yeah, I'd like to welcome. I'd like to welcome two others who joined a little late. One is my staff member Carlos Mendez for the maintenance. He joined in a little late, and then we have Marisa Ishimatsu from WRA, who wasn't present when I introduced people.
And WRA, remind me again.
Environmental consultant. I had introduced Paul earlier, so I believe Marisa and Paul are with WRA.
Great. Thank you for keeping an eye on making sure we're doing everything properly. So,
thank you.
Anything else?
Commissioner, possible, or
what?
This is Marina with Tanner Pacific. I just wanted to say thank you again to the SAM community and the board for allowing Tanner Pacific to be a part of this successful project. It was a pleasure working with the contractor, Bay Pacific, the engineers at SRT, and all the other project members and stakeholders to make this project a success. So just wanted to say thank you again.
Great.
Thank you.
Seems like great teamwork. All right, moving on to the amendment and extension of the 2020 collection system contract between SAM and the city of Half Moon Bay. And this is our SAM's separate contract to maintain the sewer lines within the city. We call it the collections contract.
Yep.
Staff report.
Yeah. So this is the collection system contract, as Chair has indicated, between SAM and City of Half Moon Bay. And we have a contract which expires on June 30th, 2021. So this is primarily approving the amendment and extension until next June 2022, June 30th, 2022. There's no change in the scope of work. There's no change in the contract, except, of course, for the dollar amount, which was already approved in the collections budget in the last meeting. There's a slight change. And other than that, everything is identical to what was done last year. It's just a formality of changing the years and the start date and things like that.
And why?
Anybody has any questions?
I have a question. Why was it necessary to do this only for Half Moon Bay and not for GCSD and Montero?
Yeah, because GCSD and Montero are part of the JPA. They have a contract, whereas Half Moon Bay decided to have a special contract. They started off, I think, in 2017 and wanted to have a separate contract because the scope was different a little bit, and they wanted to work it out with another firm also who would be overseeing the SAM's scope of work and other things. So that's why it got separated out a couple of years back. So since then, we've been getting it renewed for a year or two and going on. Whereas we don't need to have the contract renewed with the other two agencies. We just need to get the budget, the collections budget approved.
Do we have any questions or comments? I'm not seeing any. It's a benefit to, I'd just like to comment that it's a benefit to the 3 member agencies to have the SAM staff doing the maintenance on our separate independent systems because, number one, they understand how it works and how it all connects. And also because the SAM staff who are doing this are largely based here in the coastside. So we get very quick and responsive service from the collections contract. So Any, Matthew, I just saw your hand. Your other hand. Anyway, Matthew.
I was just going to say I'll make the motion unless one of the Half Moon Bay reps would like to do so.
Yes, please, go ahead. I thought you, yes. Do we have a motion to approve this?
I'll second.
Matthew made the motion. Deborah Penrose seconds. Is there any further discussion? All those, could we have a roll call, please?
Director Penrose,
Yes.
Director Lohman,
Yes.
Director Clark,
Aye.
Director Radek,
Aye.
Director Slater Carter.
You're muted.
You're muted, Catherine.
Sorry. Yes.
Chair aye.
Yes.
Motion passed.
All right, moving on. Item C, authorized director.
Excuse me, Director Dye. I was going to sign off, and I was wondering if the folks who participated in the wet weather presentation earlier, if it's all right if we adjourn.
Of course.
Okay.
Thank you for coming and hearing.
Thank you for coming in.
Yes, and thank you, everybody. And
thank you.
Thank you.
okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Bye. Have a good evening.
All right.
Yes.
Okay.
The next item on the agenda is
Authorizing directors Catherine Slater Carter to attend and be reimbursed for the 2021 California Association of Sanitation Agencies Conference in San Diego. Do we have a motion to approve? Do we have discussion first? Do we have a motion to approve?
So move.
Is there a second? Matthew Clark seconds. Do we have further discussion? Seeing none, can we have a roll call?
Director Penrose,
Yes.
Director Lohman,
Yes.
Director Clark,
Aye.
Director Radek,
Yes.
Director Slater Carter.
You're muted, Catherine.
You're muted.
Yet again, unusual. Yes.
Chair aye.
Yes. All right. Look forward to your...
And I will bring back interesting and new information. It's a long time since I've been to a CASA conference. I have a feeling there's going to be, among other things, a lot of discussion about the effects of the drought on the sewer systems.
Just another quick thing. If somebody from the group attends, they get access to all of the speeches and all of the documents, which she can then share to everybody, not just the ones she attends. So it's always good to have somebody there.
Right. I'll share the links with Keishan and he can post them to everyone.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Jeremy.
Yes. Good evening, directors. I was going to say for San Diego is kind of close to where I call home. So it's the first major trade association conference that's actually gone forward in person in a while. So it's going to be really interesting. I think it's going to be neat to see people together again and learning about a lot of the big issues. And so anyway, if anybody else is planning to come down, I'd love to take them to dinner and get to meet some of you in person because I haven't met everybody in person yet. So anyway, just want to put that out there, and I'm glad we're finally getting back to conferences again.
Thank you. I look forward to hearing what you think about what's going on at the state.
Anything further on this topic? And item D, authorized general manager to purchase hydrojetter for collections.
So the hydrojetter, which we wish to purchase for the collections department, was authorized in the budget 21-22. We've spoken about it in the past meetings of the budget. But just to drive home the point, SAM has 3 trucks for collections. Truck 1, which we call a SAM 10, is a big truck which was purchased in 2015. The condition is fine, but this truck cannot handle all the maintenance requirements. It is too large a truck to be used for small needs, some needs, especially in easement areas in GCSD and other places. We find that It doesn't have easy access. Then we have truck 2, which is SAM 8, which was purchased in 2005. This truck is non-functional. It keeps losing pressure while flushing, and therefore it cannot be used. And truck 3, we have, which we call a SAM 4. This was bought in 2002. The condition is very, very poor. It recently met with an accident due to a brake failure, non-functional, therefore cannot be used. So it boils down to SAM having only one truck, which is a big truck, which is SAM 10. And therefore, we would like to request the board to authorize purchase of this truck. We received quotations from different vendors. We have the Owen Equipment 3T, and we have MME, who've submitted a Jetta truck. Staff has reviewed these trucks and also seen some of the trucks at other facilities, and we recommend purchase of the MME Jetta truck with the adder for the cab over for not to exceed $200,000. We know that it's not the lowest price vehicle, but it would be the same as the smaller trucks we have now. They have served us well for almost 20 years. And we are confident that this will last as long as the small trucks, and we wouldn't need to invest in anything in the next few years. So over to the board for any questions.
I have a question. I noticed in the MME bid that delivery is 150 to 180 days. That's 5 to 6 months. Is that accurate? It seems as if I didn't review them all, but I did review this one. Is that accurate, and is that going to be an issue?
No, it's not going to be an issue. I think it's we've got some assurances that it'll probably be ready in about 3 months' time, because these have to be custom built. So that's why we've started it early in the day, and we would like to get that ordered right away.
I move the staff recommendation.
Second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, can we have a roll call, please?
Director Penrose?
Aye.
Director Lohman?
Yes.
Director Clark?
Aye.
Director Roddick?
Yes.
Director Slater-Carter?
Aye.
Chair Dye?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Moving on to general manager's report.
Okay, it's in your packet. The second meeting of the month has a big packet on the general manager's reports. So if you have any questions, staff is here to answer. I don't have anything else to supplement other than what's mentioned in the packet. Any questions?
I understand you had a visit from the Regional Water Quality Control Board that went well, and they were, they seemed to be happy with the work that Sam had done to deal with the problems that have happened in recent months.
Correct. That's right. But we do not have a formal report yet, so I'll bring it back to the board at a later stage when we get a formal inspection report.
Great. Thank you. Does anyone else have questions? All right. Moving on, attorney's report.
Yes, good evening, board members. I have a couple of things I want to talk about that are actually listed. And some of you may already have heard about the status of the Brown Act and the status of kind of Cal OSHA and wearing masks. I know it's been a couple of weeks. I think we touched on it at the last board meeting, and they were a lot more flux at the time. So on June 17th, June 15th, the state reopened officially. June 17th, the governor, by executive order, took what Cal OSHA had done and applied a lot of the same kinds of reopening framework to the workplace. So bottom line is, and the reason I think it's relevant to have this discussion is because at some point the board may want to consider going back to in-person meetings. A lot of boards of directors have started to do that in city councils. And so the board at this point, based on the current guidelines from the state, certainly could do so if they desired to, but they don't have to, because the Brown Act requirements that would ordinarily apply that make it difficult to have virtual meetings like this are not going to come back into place until September 30th, at which point we'll likely have legislation that's going to change the Brown Act in some significant ways. So the current guidance, just in case anyone hasn't heard, and I know it's gotten a lot of play in the press, and so you may have already heard. But if you're vaccinated, no mask required in the workplace except under narrow circumstances. Most prevalent among those school-age children, K through 12. There's still mask requirements there, as my K through 12 kids have. They know that. But that's one area where, and there's a few others that are listed under the Cal OSHA regulations. If unvaccinated, masks are required indoors. If you're outside, no mask required typically. And then with each of these, there are some exceptions which are listed in the Cal OSHA regulations. But in general, that's the rule. Employers are required to document vaccination status, so that can be an issue under some circumstances. No requirement or no retaliation for those who don't want to wear face coverings. No social distancing requirement, even for those who are unvaccinated. And there's a requirement for access to certain kinds of masks for the current Cal OSHA guidelines as of June 17th, which mean that if, depending on whether board members are vaccinated or not, I would assume my hunch is that most of the board members are vaccinated, but we'd have the ability to resume in-person meetings. And if anyone was not vaccinated, they would need to wear a mask, and others would not be required to wear a mask. And, but with the governor's executive order, there was some of the trade associations, CASA, AQUA, League of Cities had asked the governor, hey, our member agencies have
You're freezing there, Jeremy.
Yeah, we lost you.
And
Barbara, could you ask Jeremy to repeat that?
Jeremy, we weren't able to hear any of the last things that you said. I don't know if he can hear me either, so.
Yeah, I think it's frozen.
Yeah.
Frozen.
Keishan,
Okay,
maybe you could text him?
Yep.
I can. Can you guys see me?
We can hear
Hear me?
you now. Can you repeat what you said? The last things you said about several
Sure.
other
I'm sorry. I'm zooming in from out of the country. So anyway, bottom line is we could go back to having in-person meetings depending on the discretion of the board. If we wanted to stay virtual like this to do this up until September 30th, at which point we'll have to go back to.
All right, I think we got the gist. We could have
Did everybody?
in person, but we don't have to right away. Does anyone on the board here have a strong opinion about, yes, Rick?
I just thought I think it was at our Montera meeting, the impression I got, and I don't know if JPAs and cities and special districts all have separate rules. I don't know that. But I was under the impression that September 30th was a date, and then you have to have in-person meetings. It wasn't like optional, half the board can stay away if they want. It went back to the old rules. You show up at the meeting unless you physically can't get there for some reason. I don't know. There's so many things changing right now that I don't know if that's the final word for everybody or not.
If that's, it sounds like what Jeremy is saying is we don't have to make a change now. Does anyone want to start doing in-person meetings immediately?
No.
No.
All right. It looks like there's a consensus, so I don't think we will have to have this on the agenda again later. But since we're having trouble getting Jeremy, and I think there's a consensus that we're not in a rush to go back to in-person meetings, I think we can just move on from this item.
Can we skip the roll call vote?
Well, Barbara,
There's no need for a roll call vote at all. It's just discussion.
It's discussion.
something I would like to see is for us to continue to have Zoom for the public so that it's easier for people to tune in and see what's going on and not have to leave their hearth and home to participate in government. I think Zoom has been an advantage that way, for at least for the public, and certainly, I find it's easier to prepare for the meetings too.
I think I completely agree with you. So could we maybe take this up either our next meeting or the meeting after, and also have information about how we could manage some kind of blended meeting, how that can be done? Would that work for everybody?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. Anyone have any further comments?
I just noticed that in the meetings, there's two flavors. There's the meetings like this one where participants are turned on and the chat is also turned on. I found that to be very, very useful. I know that there's some Brown Act things about the board people interacting with the chat, but the chat really acts like, you're in a room with somebody and you see them across the room and you walk over and say hi, and you just do that private message. And then on the other occasions, I might have a post that I drop into the chat, which informs not only sometimes the board, the staff, but also the people that are listening. And many of those posts are posts that you're paying me to do. So it just gets to that audience very directly. And I found great feedback from that. So I'm hoping, I know another person you might want to talk to is Catherine Peary. She's PMAC. And she's been doing Zoom remote and in person for a couple of months now. And the Zoom is actually sort of primary, and then the in-person is sort of secondary. So the board members they have a computer in front of them so that anybody can see them from Zoom, such as myself in my studio. And then you guys can be present, although I'm not sure what Jeremy will say in terms of the law of you guys having to be present. But if we could at least still continue to Zoom the same quality as we are having for this meeting. And I know that the Agriculture Advisory Committee came to Virginia Corrali-Ching's attention that county meetings where participants and chat are turned off. And I think City of Half Moon Bay also has participant and chat turned off. But the MCC has been advised by Tim Fox, who's one of the DAs for the county, that they can keep their participation and chat on. Say, I'm an instructional designer, so I'm all about trying to get the information to the people. Regardless of the law, if we can still continue to have this very cool, even if you don't have, the participants.
Well, Michelle, I think we're proposing to have this discussion at a later meeting.
Okay, great.
Yeah, thank you for your input. I think it was really, that's really helpful. But I think the idea is all those ideas will be discussed fully, Kishan, either at the next meeting or the following one. Can we have a agenda item on how we're going to do our meetings in the future? And let's make sure we have Michelle's input as part of the discussion.
Perfect.
And Michelle and Keishan, maybe you can consolidate this information into writing.
Yeah,
I think it would be good. Great. Let's have a discussion of this and get, find out what we can do, what the options are, and really take a serious look at this. Does that work for everybody?
Yes.
All right. Anything else on this topic? All right. You were going to talk about COVID workplace requirements, Jeremy. Let's see if we can get that from you with your connection.
No, he touched upon it.
Okay. All right. I think we've done that. Anyway, moving on then. Director's reports.
Yeah, did anybody feel the earthquake about an hour ago?
Oh.
No.
Yeah.
My daughters did in Burlingame, but
3.7.
Wow, a baby.
Yeah.
Where was the epicenter?
Loma Linda, or I got two different reports.
It was San Lorenzo.
It was San Lorenzo, right? There are two of them currently. That's it.
Burlingame, and I felt it too. I thought somebody was at the front door. I went to the door and there was nobody there, but
This seems a little early because the Bay Area World Series isn't scheduled for a couple of months.
All right. Anything
Since
else for
Oakland and
directors
the
report?
Giants are doing really well.
Okay, let's have our baseball report.
That's it.
All right. Any topics for the future board consideration? No discussion? All right. I guess we will adjourn to closed session.
Yes, thank you everyone for coming for the meeting.
Yes.
Please,
thank you to the staff, especially.
Exactly.
Thank you, and great wet weather presentation. Take care.
You too.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Right.
Okay. Okay. Good night, everyone.